He was crying into a cold headstone when a stranger's kid tapped his shoulder and said the most dangerous sentence a grieving parent can hear, "Sir, your daughter is alive. Give me something that smells like her and my dog will prove it." Daniel Harper froze. 2 years earlier, he'd buried his 6-year-old Ellie after a tragic accident. The casket had been sealed. Everyone told him it was better that way. He never saw her face, just signed papers with shaking hands, and learned how to breathe through a grief that never got smaller. The boy standing behind him looked maybe 12. Worn baseball cap, hand-me-down clothes. Beside him, a medium-sized white dog watched Daniel with sharp, almost human eyes. "I'm Mason Cruz," the boy said, stroking the dog's head. "This is Daisy. We find missing people." Daniel snapped, anger flaring through the despair. "My child is right here." Mason didn't blink. Ellie used to draw butterflies, and she had a doll named Sugar Bean she carried everywhere. Daniel's stomach dropped. Those weren't details you'd find online. Those were bedtime details. Private, tender, sacred. Mason pointed at the grave like he'd seen something Daniel couldn't. Daisy sniffed near this spot yesterday and got worked up. She only does that when she smells someone who's still breathing. Daniel tried to swallow the hope, because hope can break you worse than loss. But his knees were trembling anyway. "Give me one piece of her clothing," Mason said. "If I'm wrong, I walk away and you never see me again." And in that quiet cemetery with his heart pounding like a siren, Daniel realized something terrifying. Maybe he never buried his daughter at all. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat in his empty house, Ellie's house, really staring at the hallway where her laughter used to bounce off the walls. Mason's words kept replaying like a cruel song. "She's alive." By morning, Daniel drove home like a man running from a fire. He unlocked Ellie's bedroom, and the air hit him with a ghost of baby shampoo and dust. Everything was frozen in time, stuffed animals on the quilt crayon drawings taped to the closet door, a tiny pair of sneakers by the bed, like she might come back for them. His hands shook as he opened the dresser. He found it Ellie's favorite blue sundress with little yellow flowers. She used to beg to wear it even when it was too cold outside, insisting she could brave it if Daniel held her hand. The fabric still carried a faint, sweet scent laundry soap sunshine, and something that punched straight through his ribs. 40 minutes later, Daniel was back at the cemetery. Mason waited under a tree with Daisy sitting perfectly still, tail thumping like she already knew this mattered. Daniel held out the dress like it was made of glass. Mason took it carefully. "Good," he murmured, and knelt so Daisy could breathe it in. The dog inhaled hard twice, then snapped her head up, eyes bright. Her tail whipped faster. A soft whine escaped her throat, not fear, excitement. Daisy nudged forward, nose down, circling once like she was locking onto a signal. Mason's voice went quiet. "She recognizes her." Daniel's throat tightened. What happens now? Mason clipped on the leash and looked up. "Now," he said, "we follow the trail. And we don't stop until Daisy does." Mason didn't rush. He walked like someone who'd learned the hard way that panic makes you miss signs. As Daisy pulled them out of the cemetery, Daniel's heart hammered so loudly he could barely hear the city around him. The leash stayed taut, the dog's nose glued to the pavement, stopping to sample a mailbox, a curb, the corner of a lamppost, then snapping forward again with purpose. Not wandering. Hunting. "How do you even know how to do this?" Daniel asked, voice rough, trying to keep his feet under him. Mason kept his eyes on Daisy. "I learned because I had to," he said. "My sister Renee vanished when she was 15. 4 years ago. Nobody found her." The words came out flat, but Daniel could hear the bruise underneath. "I promised myself I'd help other families not feel that." Daniel swallowed. He didn't know what to say, so he just listened. Mason nodded toward the dog. Daisy was trained by a retired cop named Mr. Dalton, who lives near my grandma, Mrs. Cruz. He had another dog before an old tracker named Star. When Star passed, he trained Daisy. He says she's even better. They walked nearly an hour, crossing from clean storefronts into narrower streets where houses sat close together and laundry hung from porches. Mason finally slowed, as Daisy's body changed tail-stiff shoulders forward, breathing fast. She stopped hard in front of a faded yellow house with white metal bars on the windows. Mason's voice dropped to a whisper. "This is the neighborhood I told you about." Daniel stared through the gate. Toys. Colored pencils. A kid's notebook on a plastic chair. And taped to a back window like a punch to the soul was a crayon butterfly. Daniel's knees went weak. That's her. Daisy let out a tight, urgent bark like she was saying, "Right here." Daniel's hand hovered over the gate like it might burn him. He could see the backyard through the bars, tiny sneakers by the steps, a plastic tea set half buried in dirt, and that butterfly drawing taped inside like a cruel signature. Daisy whined, nose pressed to the metal paws dancing in place. She wasn't guessing. She was sure. "We can't just kick the door in," Mason warned, keeping his voice low. "We knock. We talk. If we spook them, they hide her." Daniel forced air into his lungs and nodded, though his whole body screamed, "Now, now, now." Mason stepped up first and knocked firm, polite, controlled. Daisy sat trembling with energy. After a long minute, the door cracked open. A woman in her 50s stared out with wary eyes, gray hair twisted into a tight bun, a floral apron like a costume meant to look harmless. "Can I help you?" she asked, already leaning to close the door. Daniel swallowed the words that wanted to explode out of him. "Ma'am, I'm looking for my daughter. She's been gone 2 years. This dog is trained to track scent, just 1 minute in the yard. If we're wrong, we leave." The woman's face drained of color. "No, you need to go." Her hand tightened on the door. Mason lifted Daisy's leash slightly. "She's reacting." "Please." "No," the woman hissed, trying to slam it shut. And then, like a lightning strike from inside the house, a little girl's voice called out, bright and familiar enough to stop Daniel's heart cold. "Aunt May, can I go play in the backyard?" Daniel's vision blurred. He knew that voice the way a parent knows their own name. "Ellie," he shouted, the sound tearing out of him. "Baby, it's Dad." The woman panicked, pushing harder, but Daniel's hand caught the door. Daisy barked once, sharp, urgent, as Daniel stepped over the threshold, shaking, whispering the only thing that mattered. "Ellie, please, answer me." Daniel's feet moved before his brain could catch up. He pushed past the doorway, and the world narrowed